Hello, my name is Joan, an automotive technician who's really passionate about cars. On social media, I go by the name For Real KE, and my love for cars started quite a long time ago with what we call as the Jalopy. So here is my car. Now let me fast forward back to 2024. That's when I met Imran and I started marketing for him. We got into an agreement with him that if I push his following to 10,000 followers on Twitter, he's going to do a total restoration of this car. The date was October 31st. Tweets are really supportive, and by midday we had already attained the target. In honor of the promise that he had made, on 1st of December 2024, he came with a convoy all the way to Kirinyaga to pick the infamous Jalopy and brought it to the garage. Now, it has been worked on. They've done quite a lot. Engine replacement, gearbox replacement, restoration of the interior and the upholstery, and more to that, they've done a facelift. They've transformed a 1994 Jalopy into a 2024 modern Land Cruiser. And let me tell you, it has been exciting.
Hi, Joan.
Hi, Tony. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you.
So, first of all, thanks a lot for inviting us at your place.
You're welcome.
There's a lot of people who identify you differently, especially on what you do on social media. People know you as a car enthusiast. Some say that you are a car content creator. For me, I know you as a mechanic. How do you identify yourself?
I think I would say I'm an automotive technician who's very much passionate about cars. And with passion comes the need and the urge to share the information. Now that's where the content comes in.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, of course, we'll talk a lot more about that. Now, let me take you back a bit. Maybe you can just give us a brief history about where you're born, where you grew up, and how was life growing up?
Okay. Should I start with my childhood?
Yeah. Tell us.
I'm from Kirinyaga.
Okay.
Born and raised in Kirinyaga. For my primary setup, yes, I studied in Kirinyaga, not the high-end schools anyway, still Kirinyaga.
Okay.
Around grade 7, I moved to a school in Kiserian. That's where I did my class 8 exam. I passed well. Okay. I scored 410 marks. Then I got admitted to Loreto High School in Muru. Now that's where I covered from Form 1 to Form 4, and I cleared in 2010 with a grade of an A.
An A?
Yeah.
I feel like we are actually on the same page because I also get an A.
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
I know I don't look it, but that's what
Who
I
said
got.
you don't look it? Never underestimate yourself. Anyway, where were you studying at?
I was in Kitale. It's a school called St. Anthony Boys in Kitale. It's one of the best schools.
I've heard about it.
Yeah,
I've heard about
one of the best schools. Continue.
Okay. Then after high school, back then we used to wait for around 2 years because it was under JAB.
Yeah.
JAB came, the letters came calling. I was admitted at University of Nairobi.
Okay. The prestigious.
Prestigious.
Yeah.
World, do you call it world-renowned university? I must say.
It has to be. That's the
anyway.
world-renowned university.
I went to University of Nairobi. Honestly, the career or the course that I was invited, or rather I was approved to pursue, I didn't like it.
And that was?
I actually was studying medicine.
Okay.
I was studying medicine, and I really felt this is not where I belong. You know, the bad thing is this, the society has so much expectations. When growing up, you have people telling you, oh, be a doctor, be a lawyer, you know, be a nurse, be a dentist, these prestigious courses. But then with all that pressure from the society, you may lose yourself in it. Especially if you're doing it simply because this is what the society demands, this is what they want me to do. But you don't sit back and ask yourself, what really do I want to do? Because most of the people when they're in Form 4, they don't have facts on the ground. They're just barely relying on hearsay. My aunt told me this course is good. My dad said this is the way to go. My mom believes this is the best career to pursue. You know, all those noises, making the right decision is sometimes a huge challenge. Yeah. Or don't you agree, Tony?
I do. Did you get to because such names? You know, when you start a certain career, watu wanaanza kuita daktari, mwalimu. Ulikuwa unaitwa hizo majina?
I think I'll say it didn't really accelerate to that point. Okay. Because I didn't pursue the course halfway anyway. I dropped out in my second year.
Huh?
Yeah.
Okay, tell us more about that.
Okay, now I think I'll just give an overview.
What is, yeah.
An overview. What happens is when you go to class, there is always what you've had and there is what you find.
Exactly.
Medicine is a prestigious course, as per the word on the street. And yes, it forms one of the very major backbones of our economy, because the health is everything. But then if you're in a place where you feel you don't belong, nothing else can convince you don't belong. And now for me, I just felt that environment was not what I wanted to do. I always had a bigger calling than that. And now it just that time was not ripe at that time.
I try to imagine maybe your friends and family had invested a lot and they had their own expectations. How did they feel when you dropped out?
Well, to say the least, wasn't the best. Yes.
Now, what happens after that?
So after that, after I dropped out, I got into business. The first business I ever tried, I got into car brokering.
Okay.
I really loved cars. And you know, the one thing that's fascinating about cars is what? The engineering behind it. I mean, this machine has been properly engineered that it can move you from one point to another, depending on how you want it. Do you want it in style? Do you want it as in a fast-paced manner? You make the decision. But then the engineering behind it is just genius. So now for me, I really loved cars. And especially 4x4s. The reason why I love 4x4s is because they take you to places where other cars can't. I love wandering in nature. Wandering in nature, you can go with a car that will get stuck in case it rains. You don't want to go with a car where the ground clearance is too low, that it will get stuck. You get it? So my love for 4x4s is what I would say really made me want to do off-roading, you know, overlanding, and just getting to just bond with nature. So now let me go back to brokering. Brokering is whereby Tony wants a vehicle, Mary is selling a vehicle. So I go to Tony and I tell him, Tony, I have someone who wants to buy your vehicle. Now, after I make that transaction happen, definitely I'll get my cut. Later on I advanced. I started now becoming a dealer. Not really like a dealer like the ones who have yards and all, but whereby I would buy a vehicle, then later sell it for maybe sell it for a high amount, and then you've got your profits. You go on with that. That's also the same time when Corona hit after 2019. I think that's the one time I took so much to being on social media, posting about cars, doing a lot of photography, because when you're indoors, there's nothing much that can be done. So I kind of learned a little bit about photography. Back then, I had a good friend of mine, Wairimo Gitao. I call her Beta. She was the one who was running the pages, or she was the face in the pages back then. So I would post on the social media platforms, but it's on her account, but definitely I'm the force behind it. And I realized there was a lot of opposition, if I may say the least. Because now, you're a lady, you're telling us about cars, what do you know? You know, you're fact-checking everything before you post, but then still people will come and try to find a fault in what you've said.
Exactly.
Later on that time I decided, people were asking us, what credentials do you have? You know, but sometimes when you have something to show, evidence to show, then definitely it makes your standing very much credible. So later on that time I decided I'm going now to go back and pursue automotive as a course, as a career. Not just sharing the information I know, but at the same time I take it to another level whereby I'm in a position to now share the information with a lot of credibility, and even though I go outside there, I really can show what exactly do I stand for. So now that was back in 2022. 2022, that's when I went back to college. Now with my A, I had to go and do a diploma. Yes.
That's interesting.
Because number one, diploma is very much technical. It gives you the right hands-on skills as compared to a degree. And I felt that I needed to be in a space or in an environment where I can get the hands-on skills even as much as I know the theoretical part. So I joined the Railway Training Institute. It's located in South Bay. A really nice college, honestly. And that's where I did a diploma. Come 2024, November, that's when I cleared my diploma. Now by then, in between that time of COVID and 2024, Wairimo Gitao and I had drifted apart. We had different interests. Whatever she wanted to do and what I wanted to do were entirely different. So now we had to part ways amicably. And that's when I started following. When I started my social media platform, they used to go by the word follow.
Oh.
Follow, because on off-roading, when things get tough, when you really need to maneuver that really murky stretch, you engage the follow gear. So that is where the name follow came from.
Interesting.
So now, after that, then now we started now follow. Follow, later on I became the face.
Okay.
Because I wasn't always camera friendly.
Yeah.
I know you may be surprised.
Yeah, I mean, I look at the videos that you do nowadays. You do it so good, by the way.
It's learning. I mean, it's always learning. I wasn't always the most photogenic person, but with time I learned. Now, after I became the face of follow, now it was more about off-roading, sharing tips here and there. Then after I was done with my education, that is when before I was done, in my last year, that's when I met Imran. Imran is the director at Precision Automotive. He reached out to me on my Twitter platform, and he wanted me to help in marketing his garage. And now that's where it all began. Okay. Yes.
So still in school, were you still a broker, or you decided to focus now in school full time?
No, when I joined school, it was a full-time course.
Okay.
So full-time, it means you need to give all your attention.
Exactly.
And number two, when I was going back to school, I had one mission. I needed to get it right.
Okay.
I needed to pass with flying colors. I needed to get all the information I needed within the stipulated timelines. So here I was just a student. Okay. Just giving my all. Bothering my teachers like no one's business. You ask them. I was complicated. I was a student who, when the teacher is leaving class, you're right behind them asking questions. I know it's something that's not common in this generation, but then I needed to do what I needed to so that I can get what I really wanted. Okay. Yes.
So how did you transition from follow to now for real?
Okay. No, actually for real, I transitioned after leaving college. Back then I was an intern.
Kidogo, let me take you back a bit. What does for real really mean?
For real.
Yeah.
I was expecting that question, honestly. For real. It's more like reality on the ground, from the name real. Okay. When you're doing inspections, we are real, we are authentic. We ensure that we are sharing nothing but honesty. Reality comes in. Yeah. And then number two, for real was a little bit more expounding, because it's not just like pivoted to just dealing with off-roading. Okay. No, for real can come into mechanics, for real can come into inspections, for real can come into overlanding. It's a very huge base, which I felt was necessary when I realized that I'm no longer just dealing with 4x4s, but I'm dealing with all cars. So I felt for real was more of a generic way to just relate with everyone in a very realistic manner. Yeah. Yes.
That makes sense. Now tell us about how you transition from follow to now for real.
So follow, I was an intern. That is back 2025, I think January, if I'm not wrong. I was still an intern. No, when I was an intern, at least I got exposure. Because let me give you a fun fact. Before I went to college, I was a mechanic. But a mechanic who was not trained. I used to have a friend of mine, Ruben, who used to show me how to go about it. My videos back then in 2021, there are actually videos I did doing an engine overhaul for the Land Cruiser.
I saw that.
Yes.
I saw that.
Back then I was not trained, but then I was learning a lot, self-taught from YouTube videos, and then there's Ruben who now show me reality on the ground, how to go about it. Okay. And I realized with my, I would call them bush techniques, I needed something solid. I needed something that can, I would say it's very much ingrained. And you can do it professionally. That is why I had to go back to school, because I needed to have a different change. While I was in school, I was also volunteering in a Jua Kali garage as well during my free time. So now with being just intent on just studying, during my free time I'd go and just volunteer in a Jua Kali garage, see how things are done, get a few tips here and there, and definitely
get more experience.
You get more experience, and also you get to have facts on the ground, get in touch with them. So by the time I was coming to Precision as an intern, Precision gave me one platform. Dealing with modern cars and the modern diagnostic tools. Because we can agree, Tony. Jua Kali, it's all about creativity. Why is this wrong? How can we repair it? There's nothing like, how do we replace it? How do we diagnose this? No. But in Precision, it gave me that chance, whereby I was able to now deal with modern cars, modern diagnostic tools, and just get to understand advanced cars in the market. How do you go about dealing and coping with them? Yes.
Of course, I believe you worked in this Jua Kali garage and this high-end garage. There's a lot of perception when it comes to the two. What's your take on that?
In simple terms, in Jua Kali garages, they major so much on innovativeness.
Okay.
The car has come with an issue of an engine. Why has the engine failed?
Yeah.
How do we go about repairing? What is faulty needs to be repaired, because they deal with what they have.
Yeah.
They don't have access to maybe all the resources that there are, but they make do with what they get. That's one thing about Jua Kali garages. But now it comes with a downside. They don't have the modern diagnostic tools. So with the old vehicles, you can easily be like, you'll find a mechanic who's been in the industry for the last 20 years, 30 years. They are familiar with the old technology. But now, with the modern cars, that is where Jua Kali are heavily disadvantaged. This is not a car that you second guess. This is not a car that you're like, let me try this, if it fails, I do this. You need to be accurate with your findings. You need to know exactly what's wrong, because there's no chance of gambling.
You have to be on point.
You must be on point.
Okay.
A simple mess up, it now becomes into a chain reaction that has catastrophic effects.
Yeah.
But now with modern garages, they have the right tools. They have the right equipment. They have, if it's the structuring of the garage and also where to get the necessary parts, they have the connections. So with modern cars, you're safer in a modern garage.
Okay.
But now in Jua Kali garages, we've got mechanics with a lot of experience. And now they shine in that they've already mastered the art over years. But now the difference is that mastering the art is one thing, but now adapting to change is something else.
Totally different.
Totally different.
Now, as a mechanic, when we talk about pre-purchase inspection, I mean, I don't know much about that. Is it something new or something that has been there?
Okay. I would say it's something emerging.
Okay.
Why is it emerging? That's because for a long time, information has really been withheld, like locked in vaults about car ownership. People suffer silently. No one wants to say that I bought a bad car. Because if you say I bought a bad car and Tony is my friend, he's going to tell me, Joan, that's on you. You didn't take your time, you know. So most people have been suffering silently. And now by the fact that they were silent about it, it gave dealers, or rather quack dealers, a leeway to exploit on that. But now with pre-purchase inspection, it comes in that before you buy the vehicle, you are absolutely sure of the condition of that vehicle. If you're planning on buying a buy and drive vehicle, the issues will come, inspect the unit for you, check the engine functionality, the gearbox functionality, suspension, tire wear, auto electricals, and underside findings as well. Is there any rust? Is there any leaks? Is there any damages? With the information I give you, I'm able to advise you, Tony, this car has this and these issues. So if you're planning on buying it, understand this is not a buy and drive vehicle. The first stop after you buy this vehicle is the garage to make this car roadworthy. You already know about it. So even when you're buying this vehicle, in your negotiations,
at the back of your mind, you know.
Exactly. Even in your negotiations with the seller, there is something you're bringing to the table as a bargaining chip. If maybe you want, you're planning on buying a buy and drive car, I come and tell you, Tony, this car has these issues. It has gearbox issues. It has engine issues. You will definitely walk away without losing anything had you gone ahead with the purchase, only for you to realize the issues once you get home. So pre-purchase has come in more of ensuring that the interest of the buyer are checked into. Because it has been like this. The dealer, I'm checking out for my interest. I need to make this sell. The mechanic, I'm looking out for my interest. I mean, I need to make money out of this. But how about the one who's investing the money in buying the vehicle? No one is looking out. Exactly.
Now, you're actually one of the people who have really revolutionized the car industry, but putting a lot of focus on the pre-purchase inspection. How has been the experience?
After the experience, it has both been good with a share of its own challenges. Good in that it feels nice when you realize that you're helping someone make an informed decision. You're guiding someone in the right direction. No, it gives me a lot of satisfaction knowing that we are changing the industry one car at a time. What's the challenge? They always say that when light comes, darkness scatters. Okay? When you come to a place and now you're uncovering truths, you're telling people about things that have remained hidden for so long, definitely resistance will come. Quack car dealers, they're not happy because finally you've started threatening their livelihood that has been built on lies.
For a long time.
For a long time. You know, when you bring this general knowledge to the public, you've empowered them. And when you empower people, definitely they're independent to make their own decisions. So with quack car dealers, definitely there has to be a fight.
There's a lot of car industry and car dealers who have accused you for wreaking havoc in the industry. What really happened? Maybe you can just tell us a bit.
Okay. Now let me highlight on something that has been very critical in the car industry. Something that has been, it has been going on, but no one was courageous enough to speak about it.
Okay.
Tampering of the mileage. You need to understand why mileage is very important.
Yeah.
Low mileage vehicles are expensive. High mileage vehicles are not expensive.
Yeah.
So why are they doctoring the mileage? Doctoring simply means they are tuning it back so that it can read it. It's a low mileage vehicle. They're doing it to scam you because a low mileage vehicle has a higher price than a high mileage vehicle.
Exactly.
And then a high mileage vehicle as well has a lot of accelerated wear and tear within the components. So this car basically is not in top-notch condition. But now when you're lied to believe it's in top-notch condition, eventually it fails on you.
Yeah.
You know, that is something that the dealers have been doing for a long time.
Yeah.
Because if you see a car with, let's just be honest, Tony, you've got two cars. One is at 50,000 mileage, the other one is at 180,000. Which one will you go for?
Of course, I'll go for 50,000.
Exactly. So they know what the buyer is looking out for.
Yeah.
I want a low mileage vehicle so that I can maybe use this car for 2-3 years, put it back in the market, sell, upgrade, you know.
Yeah.
Now if you see a vehicle with 180,000, definitely, you'll be like, no, I don't want that one. And now the dealers, they know that people, you as the car buyer, you don't know how to go about verifying the information. That is why we brought in pre-purchase inspection. Because now we come in your behalf and we are now able to verify all that information for you.
Okay.
Yes.
So, first of all, how do they do that?
Machine. You just plug in a machine.
Yeah.
Turn it back. You know, when you do that, now the ECU of the vehicle will record the mileage you've tuned back to, and that's the same one that will be displayed on the odometer.
Oh.
Yeah. Now, what happens is that when they do that, the issue is why they are fighting us is because when clients know the truth, definitely they feel cornered.
Yeah.
And when they feel cornered, they need justice done.
Exactly.
Now that's where the problem comes in, because when you expose the truth, and now the clients have known exactly how things are done on the ground, definitely they'll fight us because we are doing something that's really uncovering their lies.
So in either way, have you gone to a place, msama kuita, come for your services, alafu and then the buyer is like, this car has a problem, but I need to sell the car. Now akuita kanda aseme, I have something small here.
That used to happen back when I started.
Yeah.
Back when I started, I would find so many, when you go to inspect a vehicle, especially locally used ones, let me be categorical because that's where there's a lot of brokerage coming in. You go to inspect a vehicle, the one who's selling the vehicle already knows this car has an issue, but he wants to make a sale. So you realize when you're doing the inspection, someone, actually, let me give you a very true story.
Okay.
I was doing an inspection. Then the seller, or rather the broker, was following me like until, like, you know, next to me until I was like, I dude, it's personal space, you know. Then the guy is following me, asking questions and everything. Then I felt him dip his hand into my pocket.
Are you serious?
I'm serious. And then, you know, like the shock, you're like, what are you doing? Only for me to feel that he had put a bunch of money in my pocket. And I was like, no. No, it actually had to turn into a drama because the buyer was still there. I was like, no, we don't do this. We don't do this. I'm like, you cannot bribe me. You cannot compromise on what I stand for. Because when we launch for real inspections, there are some pillars that we ensure that they remain intact. Number 1 was integrity. Number 2 was honesty. Number 3 is independence. And number 4 is being courageous. You know, being brave. Like, no, you don't do this. So eventually, to cut the long story short, the sale didn't go through. The sale didn't go through. And after that, I now went and now made it public on my social media platforms. If you're trying to bribe me, I will expose you. So now when they realize there is no other way, there is no way to compromise for real, there is no way that you can now make us, you know, bend to your will, now they had to fight us. Because if you can't train them, you start fighting them. But eventually, if you can't fight them, you join them. Yeah,
of course. So for you to achieve what you do right now, of course, I know there's so many sophisticated equipments that you use. How much have you invested in those equipments?
If I were to be honest in terms of investment to where I am, I don't think I'll give it a monetary value. Why do I say that? That's because when you look at four-rail, you're looking at four-rail in terms of what they do versus the coverage they get to. That is the social media platforms.
Okay.
If I were to tell you how it took, or rather what it took to get there, when I was an intern, I used to get to the garage by 5:30 a.m. in the morning.
Okay.
5:30 a.m., do videos until 8 a.m. because when 8 a.m. clicks, I'm a mechanic. I need to get to fixing vehicles. Imran, we had gotten to an agreement with Imran. Then after the garage closes at 6, we'll now shoot videos from 6 to 10.
Okay.
And that was on a daily basis.
Yeah.
So if I were to talk about what it has taken, I would say it has taken blood and sweat.
That's a lot.
True,
Yeah.
because that is what has built the platform.
Yeah.
When you talk about tools, the tools we deal with, we've got the thinker tools, that is the computerized diagnostics scan.
Okay.
We've got the coolant pressure test. We've got the automotive stethoscope. We also have integrated tablets, because when you do our inspections, all our technicians fill the information in a system. So when you see me in the office, I'm there because for each and every inspection done, I have to approve the report. I have to compile the report, break it down, share it with the client.
Okay.
So we invested a lot of money in creating a system whereby whatever they feel on their side, I'm able to see it on my side in real lifetime. Photos, OBD scan, findings. Then now me and my office team, we compile the report.
Yeah.
So monetary value, I don't think
It's a lot.
I don't think,
a
no,
lot.
no. Monetary value, if I were to say about the value, I don't think I'll put a price tag on it, because it's more than money can buy.
Okay.
Yes, but now the good thing is that once you've already set up something and you realize that you're solving a problem, I'm telling you, satisfaction is more than enough.
Yeah.
Yes.
Can imagine.
Yeah.
Now, of course, taking what you do as a career and putting it on social media, that becomes content.
Yep.
And whatever you put online, the social media maybe facilitators, you get paid for it.
Social, not really actually, because when I started what I do on social media, I didn't do it for any monetary gain.
Okay.
I actually just did it because I'm passionate about what I do. I felt there was a gap in terms of information being dispatched, and I felt I need to come and fill this gap.
Okay.
That is why I took to social media, just sharing information, nothing else. I wouldn't say that I got into social media for the monetary gain, because if your goal is money, then you'll not have a driving force. You'll be living from one end month to the next. But if you're driven by passion, if you're driven by determination, then everything else doesn't matter, as long as you're doing something that you're passionate about. Yes.
So how has been the social media influence propelled your content?
Actually, I would say social media has propelled my career, not my content. Because when we share this information, clients will reach out to us based on what we do. Take for instance our pre-purchase inspections. Like I would say 99% of our clients are from social media. Someone saw a video on TikTok. Joan, I'm planning, I saw you talk about inspecting a vehicle prior to buying. How do you go about it? You take your time, you explain it to them. Like, okay, when I want to buy a vehicle, I'll reach out to you. Another one, the same. Now, when the time for buying the vehicle comes in, they'll still call you, because number one, they've seen what you do, they have the evidence of what you do, and you spoke to them and helped them understand how you do it. Referrals. We've inspected a car for you. You're happy with our services. What happens? You refer us to your friends. So I would say social media is more of a platform whereby we get our clients. Yes.
So how much do you charge for, and based on what? Is it different cars, or do you have like a fixed number?
Actually, our inspection charges are 10,000 per car.
Just any car?
We deal with non-commercial vehicles. As in, we've not yet included the trucks, the lorries, the buses, the commercial PSVs. Not as of now, and that's because of they need a different set of equipments. That is something that needs to first get them in order before you can accommodate them. But no, for any other car, may it be from a double cab pickup all the way towards maybe even though it's the Uber cars and everything, we inspect them. Now what happens, the charges are standard. They are standard because whatever we'll do on that big car is the same thing we'll do on this small car. And sometimes you realize when you're checking into locally used units, they're actually more demanding than buying the fresh imports. But we ensure that no matter the size of the car, we give it the same attention. We check into details the same way, and the report is as detailed without like segregating this car is this, this car is this.
At 10K?
Yeah, 10K. And this one is, we come to where the car is located. You don't have to bring the car to us.
Okay.
The 10,000 caters for the inspection charges, transport to where the car is, and after we inspect the unit for you, it's coming with a 3 months after inspection package.
Okay.
We inspected the car for you. 3 months down the line, we walk the journey with you. If for whatever the reason that car goes to a garage, you know, we never anticipate. We've once inspected a client for a car for a client, then got involved in an accident. It had to be fixed. So now you see.
Fixed by you?
No.
Okay.
You know, now after we don't deal with car repairs as for real. We only do car inspections.
Okay.
So now after it got involved in an accident, it had to be taken to a garage. After it was fixed, we had to come and inspect the vehicle. Now that happens under the 10,000. In case that happens to you, we come and do a free inspection. In case you maybe delay the funding, delayed, the one who was doing the asset financing delayed in releasing the funds, and maybe a week plus or even 2 weeks has elapsed before you collecting the vehicle, we come and do a reinspection again to ascertain that before you pick the vehicle, everything is in good condition.
Yeah.
Yes.
So between the pre-inspection purchase and repairing cars, which one do you put a lot of focus?
Actually, we only deal with inspections.
Only?
We don't do repairs.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay.
The reason why we don't do that is because when it comes to, we have two packages. Number one, we've got the pre-purchase inspection. That's for a car you're planning to buy. We've also got a membership package, a car you already own. Now, with a car you already own, it usually entails detailed and thorough inspections at an interval of every 4 months. And the package lasts a year. So it means 3 times in a year, we'll inspect that car for you. Whichever issues we find, we share the report with you. Then you take the car to the garage of your choice. Then after the car is done, we come and do an after garage inspection.
Okay.
And we will be very much independent, even when you're giving out the report, because we are not the ones who are going to fix this car. Someone else is going to do it, and all you have to come to do is ascertain on the work that was done, confirm if they were really genuine in what they did, then able to advise you as a client.
Okay.
Yes.
So as someone who knows a lot about cars, which car do you drive?
Do you need the make or the coined term I use?
No, don't. I mean, give me the make.
All right. I've got 2 cars.
Yeah.
I've got a Land Cruiser Prado, 1995, termed as the Jalopy. I've got another one which is now older because it's a Suzuki Jimny, 1987.
Let's talk about the Jalopy, because that's what I've seen you most of the time.
Post so much about it.
I mean, why? You need to have a 2025 Range Rover.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, now let me tell you something about old cars.
Yeah.
Or the reason as to why I bought the Land Cruiser.
Okay.
Off-roading. Remember, before I got into school, I was an off-road enthusiast, and that car definitely delivers.
Okay.
It's really capable. Very few electronics, so reliability is on another level. You don't have to deal with electricals failing on you. You know, there's maybe a short circuit or something. No. It's very handy, very practical. That is one thing I loved about it.
Okay.
Number 2, it would get me into situations whereby other cars couldn't. You cannot take a Range Rover inside Mount Kenya forest.
Yeah.
You see,
That's when you can't.
you can only take a car that you are absolutely sure it can go into the bush and get out of the bush. That is one thing I love about that.
Interesting.
Yeah. And I would say it comes with a lot of minimalistic things, which is really comes in handy when you're getting off the grid. You don't want a complex car that in case it fails on you, you wouldn't be able to repair it. No, that's a car in case it breaks down. I just get my tools and let's get this running.
Get going.
Yes.
Now, I've seen you talk a lot about advising people the cars to avoid. Tell us a bit about
Cars to avoid?
that. Yeah.
Well, ask me about cars. Which cars should I buy? Okay.
Yeah.
Let's start. Why are you buying the car in the first place? You know, different people have different ideas as to why they're buying cars. Someone is looking for a car for Uber business.
Yeah.
Someone is looking for a car that can go interior completely. Another person is looking for a family vehicle. Basically, these 3 different people, you cannot advise them the same way. For an Uber, he needs a car that's the fuel economy is really good. Maintenance cost is low. In terms of parking, it can really fit in tight parking spaces. That's definitely a different class.
Okay.
Someone else who wants a car that can go anywhere. They need a car that they can abuse without failing on them. That's a different class. There's someone who needs a family vehicle. Maybe I need a place where me and my family, when you're traveling, we are safe, we are secure. You're looking at a car that comes with very good safety features, a car that has reasonable fuel economy, a car that's spacious, a car that really can match up to the highway speeds. You get it? Yeah. So when you talk about which cars to avoid, first ask someone, which are the cars you have in mind? Because for every class, there are cars you need to avoid.
Yeah.
The major car, the one of the, maybe I would say I'm so much vocal about, is the Mazda CX-5 diesel. Okay, Mazda diesels, I'm so vocal about them.
Yeah.
And that's because most of the people who are buying these cars, they don't factor in why they're buying them.
Okay.
For a diesel car, if you're doing short distances, you need a car from home, work back.
Yeah.
And you're covering 20 kilometers in a day. Why do you need a diesel vehicle?
Yeah, you don't need it.
More than diesel vehicle, you don't need it.
Yeah.
Let's look at something else. I'm also very much vocal about Nissans.
Yeah.
Nissans, they've got one major issue. We call it the Nissan cars. CVT transmission.
Okay.
It keeps failing. And that cuts across from the Nissan March, Nissan Tida, Nissan Extra, going to the Nissan Serena. As in, it cuts across the board. So now you ask someone, if you're buying this vehicle, do you know what you anticipate from this vehicle? Have you studied it properly so that you are able to know in terms of maintenance, how much would it need for me? Because buying a car is one thing, Tony. Maybe you've got a lump sum of 5 million. You're like, I can get a car for 5 million. But have you asked yourself, how much is the maintenance for the next 5 years for this car? That's a challenge.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, you talked about what you just said, and there was a lot of negative reactions based on people's preference. Is there any company that has reached out telling you that mbona unatuharibia biashara?
Not really. I wouldn't say a company has reached out because whatever I've said, is it the truth or not? You know, you can only ask me a question if whatever I said was not true. But if whatever I said is factual and there's evidence to support it, then it means it's a challenge on your side to work on that issue that has already been identified. Yeah.
So let's talk about now yourself. A lot of people praise you for doing a good job and what you put on social media. But there's those criticisms that also comes in terms of your mode of dressing, especially your hairstyle. Is it that you don't have time?
I don't think it's lack of time. It's a choice. It's a choice. Because people, or rather the society, they have their expectations. They have a notion of how it means to look good. Or rather simply because you're in the limelight, how you should behave. But if now you make the mistake of tuning to what they say about you. Because personally, see the way I am, I'm absolutely 100% sure I look good.
Are you sure?
Are you saying I don't look good?
No, I mean, you look nice.
Thank you. See now, as long as I'm comfortable the way I am and I'm confident in how I look, I'm good to go. That's it.
Okay, so now let me take you back a bit. What is that one skill that you learned in medical school that makes you the best today?
Medical school. Have you ever gone to a hospital setup, Tony? Emergency room, emergency ward? And see the stress, the helter-skelter that's there. You know, when in the medical setup, the pressure is a lot. I'll not lie to you. But then you do not have any power about the final outcome. You may do your best, but still the patient will die. How about car industry? If you do your best, then you can definitely bring a dead car to life. Absolutely.
That's true.
See, there's pressure is in both sides, so it helps you manage it well. But now, one, you've got the power to change the outcome. Another thing about the medical world, it's I'll say it's a part of it forms a backbone of the economy. Nowadays, if you are to be honest, cars are becoming a necessity.
That's true.
For you to get from here to town, you need a vehicle. You can't walk. We are not longer long distance traders. We can't do that anymore. So cars are becoming part of our lives. And now with the evolving technology, then it simply means we also need to be on guard to adapt with it. Yes.
So what would you advise someone who's doing something that he or she doesn't like and feels like I like something else? And this advice I wanted to go to that person and the parent.
Life's too short to have a boring life. True. You only get one shot in life. So why don't you make the most out of it? Because you make the wrong decision simply because someone pressured you into it. Then you will do it, but then you'll have years of regret on the same. Years that would have otherwise been productive had you done what really makes your heart beat, what you're passionate about. And when you do something you're passionate about, it's more of a transmitory energy. you now spread it to others, and it now has a very huge positive impact in the society at large.
That's true. So if someone want to get your services, how do they reach out?
First of all, you can always contact us on, we have an official line,
Okay.
0729 686646. You can call, you can WhatsApp us.
Okay.
Once you've told us what exactly you want, you are inquiring from us, we'll be in a position to do that. And the package of the services we offer, we've got car consultancy. You want to buy a vehicle, but you're torn between 3 different makes. You come to us, we charge you for the car consultancy. We do a very detailed report, comparing the cars, reliability, practicality, spare parts, maintenance, and everything. The second thing we offer is pre-purchase inspection. You want to buy a vehicle, maybe in Nairobi or Mombasa. You talk to us a day prior. You reach out to us. We are able to send you a scope of work, break it down nicely in a manner that you'll understand what to expect from the inspection. And then after the inspection, we do the report for you and share it with you. Then if you already own a vehicle, you're not buying, we've got the membership package. The membership subscription goes for a whole 1 year. And the charges for the membership package is 10,000. For the car consultancy, we charge 1,000. For the pre-purchase inspection, we charge 10,000. For the membership package, just charge 10,000. You reach out to us, we're able now to help you understand and differentiate them for you so that you know which one suits you best. Yes.
So, thank you so much for inviting us.
You're most welcome, Tony. Pleasure is all mine.